Hi everyone, this is URL and today we will learn some date and time techniques with advanced Power Query. The first technique would be to fill the number of days from a start date. Let's see which is the final outcome. So we have the tourist name, the start day of the vacation and the vacation duration, and we want to fill a table with all the dates that the tourist stays in. So let's solve this. We have the table, we go to data and press from table range, and now the Power Query editor opens. So we need to generate a list of visitors per day. We go to add column, custom column. We name it stay dates and we use the following formula: list.dates that has three parameters. The start day, we take it from here, this column. The vacation duration, we can take from this column. And then the duration, which is this hashtag duration 10000. Why is this? This formula has first the days, then the hours, the minutes and seconds. So we need in terms of days, so we put 1 at days. And we click OK. But to have this error, we click here to see the error. So we cannot convert the date time, to type date. It's a problem with the date. So what we must do now is to change the date with locale to make it an UK date, because Power Query doesn't recognize this. So how we do it? We enter a step before our function. We say insert step after. Okay, and the step will be this. We go here using locale, insert step. Okay, so date type is date and is English United Kingdom. It already recognized. Okay, so it's day, month and year. Okay. And now we see that the error disappeared and now we have a list. Okay, we have a list with 3 days starting with 18 September. Here a list of 5 days starting with 23 August and so on. Now we need to keep only the stay days and the visitors and say remove other columns. And the last thing to do now is to expand the stay dates to new rows. And now we have what we needed. We can close and load, and we load it right here. Existing worksheet here. Okay, this is a date, short date, and we see that we have the correct list. The next challenge will be to fill a number of dates, a list of dates at specific intervals. This is the final outcome. So we have the customer, contract start, check-ins, and frequency. Okay, so for example, A has a check-in on 18 and another one at 2 of October, okay, after 14 days. Then B has 5 check-in at 7 days interval. Okay, so 23 of August, then 30, 6th of September, and so on. So you get the idea. We have to convert this into this. So we start from here, data from table range. We open the Power Query editor. Let's make it bigger. So now we have to go to add columns, add a custom column. Let's call the new column follow up, and then the formula. It is similar with the one before. We leverage the list.dates formula, but then we use another function, duration.from. Okay, so we have list.dates from contract start, check-ins, okay, the number, and then duration.from, which takes from the column frequency. Okay, we have again the error because of the date, so we have to make again this step. Instead and then we go here using locale, like the previous technique, date, English, and now it is correct. We have the list and the intervals. We now need only the customer and the follow-up, remove other columns, and now we expand the follow-up list into new rows. Okay, and we will set the type using locale to make sure we have the correct date format, United Kingdom. Okay, and that's all. We go to home, load to here, existing worksheet, and we have the correct follow-up. C, for example, starts on 20 of July, has 4 check-ins at 5 days interval. The next 3 techniques will be to allocate, for example, revenues by days or by months. This is useful when making a budget and you want to allocate an amount on different time intervals. The first technique will be to allocate on the number of days of each month of the interval. For example, here Alex, start date 18 of June until 31 of August, and we want to allocate in each of these months, June, July and August, this 20,000. Okay, so we will allocate in June according to the number of days, okay, pro rata, and then July and August, because they have 31 days both, they will have the same number of days, and so on. Let's get started. We select the table data from table range. Let's make it bigger. So the first thing will be to select the correct date type using locale. Okay, we have the English format, date, English United Kingdom, and here again using locale, date United Kingdom. Okay, perfect. And now we name the query row data. Okay, and we will load it only as a connection because we will need it in the next query. Only create connection. Okay. Now for the first technique of allocation by days, we will reference it. And we add, let's make it bigger. We add a custom column. We'll call it amount. And the formula will be the sale divided by the difference between the end date and start date. Okay, and we use the function number.from end date and number.from start date, and we add +1. You know, if you want to have the complete number from an interval from 2 dates, you deduct the first date from the last one and then +1 in order to quantify both dates. We press OK, and we have the amount for each day of the allocation. Now we need to put this amount on each day on the interval. So we add another custom column called date, and we put the following formula. We will create a list. We put curled brackets, and we say number from start date, 2 dots, number from end date, and we have a list with these curly brackets. Okay, and we have the list. If we click here, we see that we have all the dates. We will just have to put the correct date time. We will expand it to new rows, and we put the correct date using locale, date United Kingdom. Okay, so now we have for each day of the interval the correct amount. And now Now you have two options. You can let it at this level of granularity if you need it, or you can put it only at the end of month. The total amount on each month, taking into account the end of month. For this, we want all these dates to be as a end of month for each of the month in the table. So we select the date. Okay, we go to transform, date, month, end of month. Okay, and now we have to group it. We select the client, the sale, the start date, and the date, and we go to transform, group by, and we add an aggregation. Let's call it amount, operation sum, the amount column. Okay, and we have now what we needed. We can remove these two columns, and we have the client date and amount, and you see that Alex has allocation in June 346, and then in July and August the same. We can go to load to this worksheet, can put it here. Okay, and we see here Bia has only 1 month, all the amount on the 30th of June, but Nico has from June to October, and we have here in June a small amount, and then July, August the same, then September smaller because it has 1 day less than August, and then in October, because it is not full month, it has this value. So the allocation is correct. The next challenge would be to allocate by whole month the same amount. So each month of the interval will receive the same amount. This is the final outcome. Okay, so June until August receive the same amount. Here Bia is the same because it's just one, but then Nico from June to October it received the same amount. This is the scenario that the business is requesting. So it's a small change from the previous one where it was pro rata per day. So for this scenario, the ideal situation would be that if Power Query had a function to create a list of month and dates, but it doesn't have. So we have to create a custom function. Let's get started. We select the table data from table range. Let's make it bigger. So now we have to create a custom function. We go to Home, Manage Parameters, New Parameter, and we will create two parameters, a from date and the to date. Okay, so the first one would be from date, type date, and the current value would be the end of the first month in our interval. We take, for example, Alex. We have to create 3-month endings for Alex: 30 of June, 31 of July, and 31 of August. So we will first put the first month end. We write it like this: 30 June 2023. 2023 06 30. Okay, so we have it here. Now we make it the second one, which is to date. Okay, type would be date, and the current value would be 23 08 31. Okay, so we have the two of them. We close and load and only create connection. So we have the parameters here, and now we go and create a new query from scratch. Get data, other sources, blank query. We will call it get month ends. Okay, let's make it bigger. And we enter the following formula here. We say we create a list, okay? So number dot from date, the parameter here, and until number from to date, the parameter here. Okay? Press OK. We go to list tools, transform to table. We set it as a date type using locale. Date, okay. And we remove duplicates. Here, remove rows, remove duplicates. But first we have to transform it to month ends. Okay, so we go to transform date, month, end of month, and now we can remove duplicates. Okay, we rename this column as month end. And now we have to transform it into a function. We right click, create function, and we name it fx get month ends. Okay. Now we just close and load to create connection only. Only create connection. And we can now start our allocation by month. We go again to the raw data query, our initial one, and reference it. Let's make this bigger. And now we go to add column and we say invoke custom function. We call the column fx get month end, and the function will be this. Okay, and we choose here the from date and here the to date. So, but in order to choose this, we have to change from the calendar to the column name. And we choose start date, and here column name and date. Okay. And now we have here the table, and we see that we have what we needed. It creates a list of month ends. So now we need to find a way to divide the amount on the number of months. So here we have 3 months, here 1, here 5. But how we do this? Luckily, Power Query has a function which is called table.row_count. Okay, so we will leverage this. We add a custom column called amount, and we will use this formula. So it's sale divided by table.row_count of the fis get month end column. Okay, the count of the rows in each table. Okay, and we have the correct allocation. Here we have 3 months, is this, here 1 month, here we have 5 months. We select the client get fx and the amount columns and remove other columns. and we expand this to new rows, and we uncheck his use original. Okay, now we just need to put the correct date type. Date, United Kingdom. Okay, here it's decimal number, close and load, and we can put it right here, existing here, and we have what we have searched for. And now we go to our last allocation technique, allocate over months with the condition when the start date happens. So the scenario is this: we have to allocate based on the condition if the start date is before 15 of June, 15 of the month, or not. If it is before or equal to the 15 of the month, it allocates the month end starting with that month. For example, in BIA here, it allocates on the month end of 13 of June and 31 of July, okay? And for Scott, which is before 15, the same. But in Alex, which is after 15 of June, it allocates at the month end of July, August and September. And in Nico the same. It starts with July and until October. Let's get started. We select the table data from table range. Okay, make it bigger. Let's just assure that the date is correct using locale. It's date United Kingdom. Okay, and now what we want to do is to divide the sales revenue by the number of months. So we select the sales revenue and months, and we go to add column, standard, and divide, and we have the amounts here. Let's call it amount. Now we have to expand our table and generate a new row for each required month. But here is the tricky situation, because the number of months will depend if the start date is before or equal to 15 of the month or not. So we must do a new formula. We go to add column, custom column, and the formula will be this. We say like this: we check if the start date, if date.day is equal or lower than 15, then we create a list from 0 to the month, to the number of months, minus 1. Okay, and else we create a list from 1 to the number of months. So we created a list, and we notice that the list start from 1 if the start date is over 15, but it starts from 0 if the start date is below 15. Okay, and here again from 1. We will see why. We go and create a custom column that we'll call date. But before this, we forgot to do something to expand to new rows. Okay, so each client now has the list, and we will create the end of month according to the condition. So we go again, add custom column, let's call it date, and the formula would be like this. It's date.end of month to put only the end of month, and then we use the function date.addMonths. Add month with start date, and then we add to the start date the custom. The idea is that we have to add to the end of month of the start date the number of months from the custom, and based on the condition, if it is below 15 we add 0, start from 0, and then we start from 1. We will keep only client, amount and date, and we say remove other columns. We put this as date using locale, and we put it in the same table, and let's analyze what we got. We put it right here. Okay, so Alex, okay, it has the amount starting from July, okay, because it is over 15 of the month, the start date. And then Bia starts with June because it is below 15 the start date, and same Scott start with June, and then Nico again start with July. So these are some advanced techniques that you can use with Power Query. If you enjoyed this video, I have a whole course published on Udemy where you learn Power Query, Power Pivot, and some practical applications. It is called Practical Business Analysis with Excel, and it is based on my experience in multiple corporations. If you want to get this course at the promotional price, you can scan the QR code, or you can have in the first comment the link to my course. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe.